Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Beyond the Outer Realm. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network, UFO Paranormal Radio Network 105.3 FM, 107.7 FM from beautiful New Orleans. So, Beyond the Outer Realm is a spin-off show of the Outer Realm Radio, which will air live tomorrow night and Thursday night. So, be sure to stay tuned at the end of the show, and we will let you know who's going to be joining us. Going to be a great week, spooky month, only going to be great stuff. But today we're talking about curses. So we're going to be exploring cursed items, places, people, delving into the ancient lore. And of course, this deep discussion is going to be taking place with my dear friend, Carolann Iadarola. Hello, hello, hello.
Blessings, everyone.
Oh, I can't hear you. Oh, that's bizarre. I hope everybody else can hear us over there.
I see Heidi's in.
Yeah. Oh, hey, hello, hello. Okay, let me just see what's going on with that because we're having a bit of a tech issue here. Hold on. Hopefully it's just on my end. But again, nope. See me moving here. See me moving here. I don't know. Can you guys hear Carolann? Okay. Well, yeah, your microphone's muted. Okay, I can't unmute it for you. Yeah. Oh, whoop. I don't know. I can't hear Carolann, which is going to be a problem if we can't have a discussion. Uh-oh. Yeah, that's not good. I don't know what's going on with that. Let's see.
Can you hear me now?
I can't. I can't. Let me pop out and see if it's
me. Heidi said she hears us.
You can
Heidi.
hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I don't know then. I don't know. Let me pop out. Let me come back. This is crazy as well. Okay. My gosh. Okay, here we go.
We love tech issues around here, right? I think you guys said you can hear. I'm looking in the chat. I know Heidi said she can. Z-Sun, you can hear us. Well, Michelle's going to pop back in, but today we have an exciting topic. Can you hear now? They said you can hear.
Yeah, Heidi says she can't hear. Wayne says he can't hear. So we can. Yeah, Michelle can hear us both. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, now he can hear you. Wayne, can hear me? Okay, I can't hear Carolann. This is not going to be a good thing. Oh no.
Should I change my mic?
Yes,
you think?
He can hear you. Wayne can hear us both, but I still can't hear Carolann at all. So I'm not quite sure how we're going to get around this one. Double checking. Yeah, everything is showing okay.
Yeah, Michelle said she can hear us both.
Yep, I got you now. Don't ask me what happened there. I don't know. I'm looking, and all of a sudden there you are. Okay, tech issue averted. Wow. Holy cow. Oh, all right. Well, welcome. I'm glad that you guys can now hear us both. That doesn't well, we're on the same soundboard. Yeah, we can see each other. But yeah, no, everything is all in one. But okay, let's just, like I said, crisis averted. So let's just get down to some good
Can
conversation.
You hear me?
Yeah.
Oh,
it just
that was weird.
All of a sudden, you just started talking, and I'm just like,
I don't know. Maybe because we're talking about curses. Who knows?
Right? Maybe that's a thing too right now. I don't know. That's yeah. Well, with that being said, we're good to go. Curses indeed. Curses indeed. 'Tis the season anyway, spooky month. But thank you for joining me for a little parlay.
Oh my God. I love joining you.
Well, thank you. I love having you on. It's always nice. Curses.
Yeah.
You hear about curses. This has been something ongoing for centuries, right? I go back to the, we should probably start with, where does this all come from. I mean, as long as humankind has had beliefs in gods and magic and supernatural spells, curses have been a part of that culture. The practices became very much part of human nature, which is kind of weird, but continues to this very day. I actually still get messages from people who'll say, somebody's put a hex or a curse on me. Can you help? It's just like, wow, it's interesting to still get comments about that, like even now. But let's look at the definition. Okay, a curse, a series of words or actions calling for harm or misfortune to come to
Mm-hmm.
someone or something. In other words, curses, hex, jinx, dark spells pretty much works, the same idea. So remember, curses and blessings can only work if there's a strong power behind the words that are used, a strong intention, but it also has to be, allegedly the person on the receiving end, you have to believe in it. I mean, I've had people say I've cursed this person, and other people like, nope, things are good at my end. So I don't know, So maybe a step was missed, or maybe it's just that the person doesn't put merit into it. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I totally agree. And I noticed the past year or two, a lot of people, even on TV, are wearing these red, like ropes
Mm-hmm.
around their wrist. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they have an evil eye hanging from them, sometimes they don't.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
supposedly, if it breaks, that means that someone cursed you or hexed you, and this bracelet broke the hex. And I've been
Oh,
seeing a lot of them.
yeah. Well, the evil eye is one that is it's a Turkish thing, I believe. And when
Yeah.
I was in Romania, there were there were things everywhere. Oh, Melissa. See, Melissa remembers. Remember when we were in Romania? Um, there was evil eye bracelets and emblems and pictures. You could buy everywhere. I remember buying a bunch of them and just handing them out as souvenirs. But I guess that was the thing of that year,
Yeah.
as far as tourism goes, that and gnomes. But anyway, I needed him just for evil eye against the gnome. Anyway, wearing them all up my arm.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, um, it is interesting though, isn't it? How we can look at a symbol and automatically put so much faith into a symbol, and just
Absolutely.
interesting
As
about the celebrities though.
growing up, we had, especially the Italian half of my family, we were given horns to wear because these horns,
Yeah.
yeah, were big in Italian culture. And I remember, being a little kid and having this horn necklace because that was supposed to ward off, hexes and evil
I wore one
spells.
too. Yeah, like
Yeah,
a
did you?
little gold horn. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's funny. I didn't realize at that point that's what it was used for. But yeah, like
yeah,
they was call it the good luck horn. So I
yeah,
guess that would make sense.
yeah.
Wore this thing for years. Wait, that's what it was for? Jesus. Okay. Well, I might have explained a lot of things now.
Yeah.
So
What about rabbits? Rabbit's foot. Like I used to have a keychain with a rabbit's foot because that was supposed to ward off evil
yeah,
and
the
bring you
same
good luck.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, the same idea. Hi, Julie. This I know it's crazy. Wayne says the power of intention. If someone puts a
Yeah.
curse on you, but you are unaware of it, does it have any power? The cursor sends a message to the victim, and that's what invokes the belief in it. Possibly, yeah. Well, going back, I mean, to origins, ancient times, misfortunes, afflictions, the history, and cultures. I guess depends on you know which part of the world.
Hmm.
But curses could be done like in rituals, writing them down, verbalizing them. The intention was consistently used to conjure, let's say, a supernatural power. In days of lore, curses were looked at as a powerful phenomenon, but considered to be the wrath of the gods or demons alike. So but you had curses that could sometimes ward off people or evil from a place or person. I've seen that essentially they would serve as warnings Over time, curses were used to protect valuables and property. Medieval Catholic Church possessed many scrolls and books. Of course they do. Use this tactic. Curses were written down. So would-be thieves or anyone who would consider defacing the books, and penalties were very high. So they would just write them down. But a lot of this goes back to pre-Christian times. The books on it. I'm always fascinated by the Devil's Codex Bible. You ever heard of that one? Have you heard of the Devil's Codex? Yeah. So that's like a massive piece that was written by a monk, allegedly, who made a pact with the devil and said, it's said to be very cursed. It brings misfortune to anyone who possesses it. Archaeologists have found many pieces of evidence that suggest the use of curses and protection spells. See, a curse could also be a protection spell, just like what we're talking about, right? Just, it could be anything.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's several types, I think, with the first being malediction, which is spoken or a written wish. And then we have object curses, which we're all familiar with. And then what about generational family curses? And then we have the evil eye, which we just talked about. And then ritual hexes like voodoo, witchcraft, and then the self-fulfilling curse, which has like a psychological effect where belief in the curse causes the victim to act in a way to bring about the doom. And, they're very powerful.
Yes. No, I agree. Like spells, words are spell casting pretty much, right?
Right.
So you get the old love curse. The money curse. I know. Again, spells of sorts. So it's kind of like, does that count? I don't know. But I mean, back in the day, going back, I mean, I've read accounts into ancient lore all over the world where, some parts they would have like iron, they would like the horseshoe for protection against all kinds of stuff, like evil intentions or, and you could take the same thing, like we had from our other place, iron nails. And they say, if you put those over windows or doors, it acts like the horseshoe. It would just keep evil from trying to enter the space. I used to send like tons of them. So I'd just send them off, to friends but I made sure they were everywhere in the house. And I know that in buying this house, which used to belong to a Jewish couple, they had these little vials, right? And they would put those in on an angle.
They still use them.
They do.
They're still widely. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, they were still on the house when we came in, and the realtor said, "Oh, I can remove them." And Wayne and I knew right away. Let's no, just leave them up. That's fine. The house has a beautiful energy, so something's working. But
exactly.
Just don't mess with it.
Yeah, leave well enough alone. What about biblically? When was it Herod that put blood on the doors? I mean, that was kind of a hex or a curse or a spell of some sorts. So, like you said, this is so generational. There's one that creeps me out, though, and it's kind of newish for me. I have a quick video of it that I'd like to show.
Absolutely.
And this kind of bothered me because, especially during the pandemic, it was done a lot. Let me just get to the link. And it just like flipped me out when I saw that it was becoming like a thing. It's called destiny swapping, the curse of touching elbows. Let me.
Oh, yeah. I put that one up. Now I'm going to be walking around with elbow pads.
I'm telling you. This kind of flipped me out. I don't know. We were doing it a lot.
To boot.
Oh, is the sound off? Wait a minute. You always have to cue up the sound with these videos.
You already know how I feel about New Orleans. But what's happening there now is a lot scarier than just a building of like ghost nuns. Have you seen the viral video of the guy playing the Shadow Man music because there's a man on Bourbon Street trying to get him to rub elbows with him so that he can tell his fortune to him or whatever. But the guy won't do it because he said the Shadow Man taught him better. Smart dude. What he's trying to do is destiny swap. Apparently there are these people that can sense when someone comes by that has like a light energy, meaning that they know that whatever they've got is something good, whether it's like wealth or the ability to be like a psychic or something like that. And they seek them out and they try to get them to bump elbows so that they can swap their destinies, meaning he gets whatever you got and you end up with him. But why the elbow? Why doesn't he just like touch him on the shoulder or something? Because in voodoo and in like all kinds of like history way back, they believe that the elbow is like a hinge. Your elbow switches directions and changes where things can go, and it changes up easily. It's like a hinge of fate, and a quick bump of that can change their destiny and yours. And it's never a good thing when they ask you to do it. They always want what you have. Effects of these are slow acting. You'll start feeling like things aren't going your way anymore, like everything's bad, everything's out to get you. You might start feeling unwell for no reason. You get a cold you just can't shake. You may lose your job or lose your home. Meanwhile, the guy you bumped elbows with is now on a winning streak. Protect your elbows, and if you think someone did knock your elbow, go home, wash your hands, wash your elbows in salt water. Then light a white candle and say, "What's mine is mine, and what's theirs shall return to them." If you're going to be in places like that, maybe consider having like a little pouch of salt or a silver coin in your pocket. So next time you're in New Orleans, be sure to keep your eyes out for elbow bumpers and, poop on the street, because that's...
I mean, that's kind of freaky.
Elbow pads, padded helmet. I don't know. That's
tell
kind
you.
of, that's kind of, I've never heard of that. And it's kind of like that old, here, pass this gift on, and this person will
Yeah.
pass, and then you will have longevity or success, or it's like a swapping of energy. It sounds to me,
Ah.
though, like all you'd have to do is an energy reversal,
Mhm.
But
I don't know. I saw a video. It flipped me out, and it kind of like made me start digging into this. There were these two weightlifter wrestler kind of dudes, and one always was the winner in this competition. I'm not into it. Don't know their names, but it's a legit thing.
Mm.
And the two of them is side by side, and they're picking up like massive amounts of weights. So before they began, one of them stuck his elbow out and to the other guy and insisted on bumping elbows. So he did it. And then the guy that always wins picked up the weight and he blew his back out and herniated his discs and had to quit wrestling. So I don't know. I don't know. It just like, and we did that a lot during the pandemic. Remember? They were doing it all over TV. Like, don't put hands anymore, just bump elbows. Like, Lord knows what was going on.
I know. Things were changing up all over the place without even knowing. It's strange. I mean, I've never heard of it, but obviously, there's something else. If you put, again, it's like a Stope effect. If you put enough power into something, like into the belief of it, does it make it a thing? I don't know. But they used to have these things called cursing tablets. And
nice.
I know. In ancient pre-Christian times, the belief included light blessings, like of light, and curses. The concept of dark curses would be considered an association with witchcraft, obviously darker spirits. But cursing tablets were an ancient way of using malevolent spirits and powerful gods to do the bidding of the individual. Don't try this at home, kids. Just don't. Oh gosh. Anyway, so the individual would scratch down their intentions or do a binding spell and put it into this thin lead tablet, which is funny for lead, because lead can pretty much repel energy. So that's sort of interesting. Anyway, so they would roll it up, and they had a process that we do. I'm not going to put down the whole process. I don't want to see it going on all over the place.
Yeah.
But anyway, it would be placed in some place safe. Usually it could be buried with the dead, right? It could be put in temples, things like that. But the ancient tablets have been found like throughout archaeology and throughout the years, and they had horrific intentions like etched into them. It got so bad in ancient Europe that everything bad that happened was attributed like to curses and hexes and things like that. And of course that makes big business for amulets and like what we were
Yeah.
just talking
Yeah.
about, you know.
Absolutely.
I know.
It's interesting too, because if you think about love spells, they never end up good.
mhm,
Either the person becomes like overly obsessed with the other person, and they just never end good. And you would think something, well, you can't force another person's energy to without consequences. I
mhm,
think especially if you don't have good intentions to start with.
mhm.
But it's just interesting to me how love, anytime I've ever read anything with love spells or curses, they just never end up good.
So why do you think it is? Do you think, especially when you're putting good intentions, do you think
Yeah.
it's because um you're messing with the formula, like you're messing with destiny? And do you think that that in itself is a no-go?
No, no. Yeah, there's something about just love in and of itself, the power of it, maybe because it's so pure in intention.
Mhm.
And, it's a very spiritual thing too. I mean, think about it. You fall in love,
Mhm.
like it
Mhm.
just seems, and then you have your soul mate, or, you have like a soul contract with people. And maybe
Mhm.
you're right that messing with that brings, bad consequences. Like I never heard of anybody casting a spell for love turned out good. Even in movies, if you see
Mhm.
movies, it always ends up bad
Mhm.
with
Yeah, there's
somebody
something
dead or
to
killed.
that, you
Yeah.
know? There's something to that. I have to say, like, one thing I have learned, doing energy work of many different types,
Mhm.
I've you think you pretty much got the energy thing down, but I'll tell you, like, having a special little person in my life, um, I stopped saying, like, I believe in being, like, in love, which is very different than loving, you know? Um,
Absolutely.
but they say, "Well, I love you with all my heart." And
Mm.
it's funny, then I saw one quote that changed everything for me, and it said, "I love you from my soul, because one
Mm.
day my heart will stop, and my brain will not allow me to remember you. Like, it will just be my essence, my soul will always love you and remember you." So now
Yeah.
I said or I remember I see said little person, I always say, "I love you from my soul."
Yeah,
And
that
so
sounds
now
better
yeah,
too.
now he's starting to, "Oh, you know, that's nice, grandma. You'll get it one day. You're a smart little gaffer. You'll get it one
Oh,
day."
yeah. Uh,
But I thought that was very interesting, um, like how we become conditioned to saying a certain thing, but when you really think about it, it's it's
yeah.
it's very different. It's true. The physical just stops, the heart stops, the brain will eventually stop, but the essence never does.
Yeah,
It's
true,
eternal
true, true. And then I've heard a lot of people talking about how our heart actually has a soul, or is
of
is
its own.
imbued with soul. So, and again, it's so much about intention,
Mhm.
And then I heard too, which I found so interesting, is that all these words, that like the word good morning or morning, like, why would you say morning? Yeah, that's nice, Heidi. Or heart and soul, yeah. So
Yes.
I'm thinking like maybe we should start taking the power of a lot of these words back. Like,
Mm,
because I think a lot of them were given bad intentions that maybe shouldn't be, or I don't
mhm.
know. I just like the word good morning. We all say good morning. And they're saying, oh, it's such a negative thing. You shouldn't
You say,
mourn your
"Top of the
morning.
day." Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right.
No, it's
Yeah.
well, I think it's over time how many things get shortened as well,
Yeah.
you know? I don't know, greetings, greetings,
Yeah.
top of the
Absolutely.
day, like, there are different things, and I think it goes the other way as well, with I think intention is huge. That you have a lot of faiths that'll argue, this is ritualistic, you shouldn't do it. And then, and I know this, and this was brought to my attention again from a Christian friend of mine who was a minister, who used to be a minister. And he said everything really, in a way, is ritualistic. Even in the Christian church, we
Oh,
light
yeah.
candles. We say prayer. Prayer, it could be considered a sort of of a spell and incantation. Despite how it makes people feel, that's about, again, intention. Saying something negative, to do harm. But if you're saying something out of
Yeah.
peace and love, it doesn't mean that it's not some kind of a, you know, like again, spell casting. It's just,
Absolutely.
so I thought that was a very interesting point of view, because we light candles, we light incense, we
Of
clear
course.
our spaces, we do all kinds of things like that. So it's like, yeah, that's just true.
Yeah. And you get a lot of people that, they'll say, don't do, don't like involve yourself with anything ritualistic. And they're like staunch Christians or Catholics, but yet they're throwing salt over their shoulder when it spills on the table. When
Mhm.
someone says something and they go, God forbid, knock on wood, and you get a lot of people that are doing these ritualistic things
Mm.
that are supposed to be like staunch Christians or Catholics. And yet they're doing a lot of these pagan ritualistic
Mhm.
things. So,
But a
and
lot of
again,
it stemmed from that. Every time the church
right.
would take over an area, or the Romans, or the Catholic Church would come in, the Christians, they would amalgamate some of the traditions from, the place that
Absolutely.
they merged them together, changed them. I think it
Very
made for
serious.
easier transitioning
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
culturally speaking, by melding the two of them together. And over time it changed to where it either stopped or it continues on,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Absolutely. I have to
Yeah,
laugh because I think Carrie said, we're so confused.
I know. Not wrong. Not wrong. Um,
So true. We are so confused.
Polly says people curse out of anger, meaning they didn't really mean it. Does the
Mhm.
intention of the curse still take effect? Well, I think if you put a lot of power behind words and you're angry, there's a lot of intention that
Oh, yeah.
comes out of something like that.
Yeah.
I think at that point it's important to take that right back, you know. Um, But, that's that's why, like, I found that the cursing tablet's interesting, because some of the
Yeah.
horrific things they were finding even back then, you think when you put something down and you're looking at it,
Mm.
that it would, you realize at that point, it's pretty intentional, because you're
Oh,
you're
yeah.
etching it into metal, and that you're putting it in with, like, in a place of worship, or in somebody's home, or in a
Right.
grave. It gets really crazy.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Well, think about too when you get up in the morning and say you stub your toe and you like that starts your day in
Mhm,
kind of a negative space. Then you
mhm.
go to the grocery store and you're in a kind of grumpy mood because your toe still hurts. And then everything there on in, you meet grumpy people, you have arguments in the grocery store, you're
Yeah.
yelling at people out your car window, and it's like you curse yourself in
Mhm.
a way, right?
Well,
So
energy gets trapped as well.
yeah,
Like, if, like, I always have, you've heard me say on the show before, with intention, the power of words.
mm,
There's a lot of power in words. You get into
yeah,
an argument, whether it's on the phone or with somebody in your home, and you go out for the day and you come back, that energy, like, there's so much strength that gets put out there when
yeah,
you're mad, that it sits there. And then you wonder why you're feeling foul when you go back into that room in the next day or two.
absolutely.
Oh God, I don't know why, but I'm just a bit of a mood today. Well,
Mm,
it's a matter of cleansing that space so you don't have that. Like, I love incense, so I burn. I would love to. I used to burn a lot more. Um, Babysitting a parrot right now, they don't mix very well, but you know, but it's anointing candles, or just spray,
yeah,
or oils. I use a lot of oils just to be able to get that to
clear.
dissipate, so you're not
Yeah,
affected by that energy, you know?
absolutely. Yeah, I
So,
mean, look at sage, how popular that's become.
yeah.
And you can walk in a tobacco store and they've got sage at the counter. So it's
Mhm,
become a very mainstream thing for folks to do to sage your
mhm.
space, right?
Oh, there's
I don't
there's
know.
tons of different things that you can
Yeah.
use. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So I wanted to also talk about cursed items that bring luck to people, have brought luck to people.
Okay.
Um,
You do
so,
those and I'll do the other side.
oh, okay. Now I found it interesting when I was researching that not all cursed things can bring bad luck, but they can also bring good luck. So there's a thing called the demon's necklace in Japanese folklore.
Mhm.
And this necklace is it's infused with like runes, and
Mhm.
it's cursed to summon shadows, misfortune, maddening whispers. But the flip side of that is under a full moon, if you have this necklace, it grants bursts of fortune.
Mm.
It can make a bankrupt person win lotteries. It helps build wealth by wearing it all night. And if you use these demonic whispers properly, you can get prophetic investment dreams. So I'm like, where's this necklace?
I know. I need me one of those. Yeah. Yeah.
I just, but again, like there are consequences to that. But under special conditions, that's what this necklace grants.
Mhm.
It almost reminds me of rubbing Aladdin's lamp,
Yes.
and you get 3 wishes, but the genie could also be, horrible and mean. And we've seen and heard folklore about that. So maybe there are both sides to cursed items. Who
Mhm.
knows? I mean, there's a bunch more.
Yeah.
There's one called the Sea of Flames diamond, much like the Hope diamond that was
Yeah.
very much cursed. And this is a fiery ruby from an Indian temple. And it was initially cursed to grant immortality while dooming loved ones to grief and death. Sounds
Mhm.
horrific, right?
Mhm.
But on the flip side, the owner of this diamond gains eternal life, prosperity, and they yield inheritances, business booms. And there's a tale that a French aristocrat lived 150 years amassing wealth because he owned this diamond and he got whispers of stock tips from it.
Wow. So, Yeah.
Crazy stuff, right?
Yeah. 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 No, I mean, it's interesting when you think of a cursed, a positively cursed
Yeah. I mean, things
item.
could be. What if
Mhm.
you're putting, that energy into an item and it
Mhm.
just, I mean, think about how many times we've had necklaces given to us from, you must have loads of them, Michelle, in your lineage, right? That, were given down from your great great grandmother. And, you feel like, oh, I need to wear this because it's my, think about baseball players that like wear the same socks too. And
Mhm.
because
Or
they're afraid that
superstitions and stuff. Yeah.
exactly, yeah. So these
Yeah.
things are cursed, but they're
Mhm.
cursed with positive energy, I guess, right?
Mhm. No, for sure. Then you get into things like, well, there's a whole list of cursed items. You can get into Robert the doll is a big one.
Oh,
That's a
creepy.
hostile thing. you know.
Creepy AF.
I know. They've got Robert the doll is a big one. For those who don't know, he's in Key West, Florida, and he is said to unleash misfortune on those who mock him or take his photo without first asking politely. So guests have reported car accidents, job loss, accidents soon after the visit, like pretty
Mhm.
hardcore stuff, but there's definitely something to it. And the crying boy painting. Geez,
Another one.
it is, but what's weird is it doesn't have to be a specific one. It seems to be, it was I've had a guest on
Neat.
the show who's talked about his copy, and this guy, he'll say I was pretty skeptical until I ended up having one of these. And the original one, I think that, well, they became popular in the UK back in the 1980s. So this isn't one of those really old, well, I guess old now, so like 45 years. But on the grand scheme of time, there's all kinds of them. And even though thousands of copies are mass produced around the 50s, apparently, nothing was ever revealed up until the 80s, where they started getting like a lot of reports of devastating house fires. but yet the painting was never ruined. The painting was always intact. And that's the copies of them too.
Yeah.
So
That
what
I don't
makes
know. That is so
what
crazy.
makes that a thing?
Yeah. But
So,
getting back to Robert for a second.
yeah.
Tomorrow I'm airing at 410, right, Michelle? I think it is.
Yes.
Fiona Dodwell wrote a book on haunted dolls, right? And Robert was one of the dolls that she talked about in there. And so, you should all watch that. It was a great conversation. One of the things I noticed out of the gate was the first paragraph of her book was a disclaimer. And she said she wouldn't put pictures of the actual dolls in her book because a lot of people claim that even looking at pictures of like Robert the doll brought them misfortune and, bad stuff happening to them. So she had an illustrator draw the pictures rather than put a real photo. So like, as I'm doing research, I'm finding pictures of Robert and I'm like, I
I want to look at him. No. Yeah. See, so it's that intention thing again.
Yes.
Where you're thinking about it. And I mean, he looks like, poor guy looks like he has seen, better days. But I always laugh because I saw, an episode of like a spin-off of the Osbournes where Jack and Ozzy went on the road, just, having different father-son experiences. And they go and they see Robert the doll. And, Jack buys this little toy one. And Ozzy, the whole time, you'd see this. He was always flinging it out of the way, hiding it, trying to ditch it out the window. And of course, it always found its way back. Jack would find it, put it back out. And they would show Ozzy's like, boop, 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 zeroing in on this doll. He hated it. But it's just, it has that feel to it. You just got to look at him.
Yeah.
Like,
No, it's true. I mean, think about Ouija boards too. Like,
yeah.
I remember, I think I was about 12.
I've known some crazy ones. Yep.
Yeah. I think I was about 12 when I bought my first Ouija board. And I remember playing with it alone in my bedroom and I got really creeped out by it. So I took it and I threw it in Brooklyn back then. We had garbage pails like right in front of our homes and they were encased in like a patio.
Yeah.
And I threw it in. I didn't tell my mother. I just threw it out. I was just creeped out by it. And then the next day I went back in my bedroom and the Ouija board was back in. True story, folks. The Ouija board was back in my bedroom. So I went to my mother and I'm like, Ma, why did you bring the Ouija board back in? She said, I didn't bring that thing back in. So I'm like, how did that happen? I mean, these things
did.
Something did.
Yeah.
I mean, and I asked my dad to break it into pieces and ditch it. And then he, finally it stayed away. But that was kind of trippy. I mean, can these things be cursed just because they are like historically?
The cursor is something attached to it that can be, Ouija boards, like to me, like again, they're a tool. A lot of it comes back from intention and so on, which you can do with the board, you can do with the pendulum, you can do with a different type of divination board, you can do it with a voice recorder, ghost box, phone app. I mean, I think the idea is when you're inviting communication, it's the method being just a tool.
Right.
Question: do positive, negative curses lose their effect when the curse or the meaning is an obsession? I don't know. What are your thoughts, Carolann?
That just kind of reminds me of what we were talking about with love. Love becomes an obsession. And I think that's part and parcel of why it never turns out good. You're putting all this energy into this spell, this ritual. And I don't think the intent is good to begin with, even though you think it's love. It's not. It's like stalkery. And, a lot of women think and men think that they're in love with a person and it's not. It's like obsession. It's not really love. So I don't know.
A lot of people have no clue what love is. It's a tough one. So I think you need an understanding of that to make you break from that. But I think, and personally, I mean, I'm definitely not an expert on this, but I think the more attention you put into something definitely can amp it up, because again, there's a belief, there's the intention, there's all that energy being poured into it.
Mhm.
Does it just stop if, first off, if the person doesn't know about it? I think
Yeah.
I think it's like a 50-50 thing. If it's made known to the person who is the object of the curse or intention, you might get that focus from that end as well, which again, does it create like a tulpa effect?
Mhm. Yeah,
Sort of,
yeah.
right, sort of thing. But I think if it's something that, when you say, when the effect, does it lose the effect when the curse or the meaning is an obsession? I think if you're obsessed, there's a whole lot of intention going in there.
Yes, absolutely. You
I
know what
just,
else?
my hormones, maybe.
Hormones, right?
Could be.
That's
Yeah. Yeah.
good. That's good.
Yeah.
I think also what gave curses a bad name too are a lot of people would go get readings done by psychics, and like one of the very first things out of the gate is they tell you, "Oh, you're cursed. You know, you got to pay an extra $100 and come back, and we'll
Oh,
get rid of
the
the
money
curse for
pit. Yeah.
the money pit."
The money pit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
It
don't
gave
know, man.
curses a bad name.
There are things out there that you can attribute. When I see a true curse, like I think of, for example, the curse of Jacques de Molay, a Knights Templar.
Mm,
So he was the last, considered the last Grand Master, October 13th, right? 1307, they were rounded up, disbanded. Uh, King Philip IV of France, who was
mm,
obviously deeply in debt to them. The story goes he was in debt to the Templars. He spearheaded this entire charade. Many were tortured into making false accusations. On
yeah.
March 18th, 1314, Jacques de Molay was burned at the stake on an island
Oof.
on the River Seine, so in France, pretty much right at Notre Dame Cathedral, by the way. As he was dying, nothing like a dying curse, let me tell you.
Oh,
The
geez.
energy, the guy is on fire. There's going to be some intention like nobody's
Right.
business. So get this. So as he was dying, he cursed the king of France, his descendants, Pope Clement, everyone who supported his death. He stated that within a year and a day that both men would die. He stated that Philip's bloodline would reign no more in France. So what happens? Clement died
Mm.
first from a damaging disease, is all they say, on April 20th, 1314. So we're talking literally 2 days over a month. That's it. Okay, so
Wow.
within a month, or roughly a month, he dies. Philip died of a stroke while hunting shortly after the Pope. That was
Oh,
quick.
word.
All of his successors died tragically. So from 1314 to essentially, I guess, to 1328, all three of his sons and grandsons had died. Over 300 years of rule, okay, it no longer existed and fell within 14 years of Jacques de Molay's death. Like,
Wow.
now that is a powerful curse,
That is. That is. I mean,
right?
that's a lot of things to curse while you're getting torched, but I would imagine, like you said, all the energy put into that. And then he probably screamed it out loud so everybody heard it too. And I mean, it's the same thing with the curse on Tutankhamun's tomb, right? How
Mhm.
many people died with Carter on that one?
Uh,
That
I
was another,
that
I
one
mean,
is
very historical.
when I was in Egypt, it was interesting to me because if you asked, you know, um, like I'd hired guides and stuff. When you
Mhm.
asked the older generation about the curse of
Yeah.
Tutankhamun, they were all about it. Like, oh yeah, you could be careful. There's an inscription over here, and you be very careful, Whereas the younger generation, like my younger guy looked at me and goes, well, because the older people, the older generation want you to be, they really believe it. Like they're hardcore believers in the
Right.
superstition of it all. He goes, realistically, he goes, you try opening a tomb that's thousands of years old and see how you're going to feel when the air is so stagnant and people
Right.
are going in, they didn't mask up, they didn't do anything. So I think you have to look at the logical side of things. But again, who knows? I go back into, ancient lore. And going back to the old mystery schools and everything else, did they know to put something in the air? I would just like, throw powder down or something like that, or rituals or things like that. So was it a curse through a ritual? I guess anything is possible. We weren't there. We don't know. I try to look at the logical side of things like that. Like Carrie says, lots of mold in those tombs for sure.
Yeah.
And you're digging through artifacts that have been there. Like, first of all, just trying to find a tomb like that. The fact that Ramses I had his tomb blocking this one, and that one kind of got not just ransacked, but I mean, over time, just the rubble and everything that ended up in it, they would have had to dig through that. And then, in and around to get to Tutankhamun's, and everything just sitting there stagnant for all that time. It's just, I imagine it was loaded with different,
could
different
be
things that can make you sick.
I mean, it didn't stop the Tomb Raiders. Like, they didn't really give a hoot too much. They kept raiding.
Did it because they did it like, that's right, like immediately, which tells me it's like it could be like a time thing, just through humidity or things like that, right? So heck,
Absolutely.
even the priests went in there and rounded up all kinds of of mummies throughout the Valley of the Kings. So the fact that Tutankhamun was there, and and once they got hold of him, what else are you unleashing? Like just with odor and things like that. So just trying to look at the logical flip side of the curse, only because I had an experience with them, with the different belief systems and the age gap, and the younger people just didn't buy it, and the older generation were all about it. So stories that get passed down, I always find really fascinating.
Oh yeah.
But then you can get into, there's so many different things. Where do you want to go next?
Oh, there's one that creeps me out. Well, the other one is the poltergeist curse, and that's kind of newish. That was 82 to 88. So heartbreaking. We're talking about the horror film, The Poltergeist, which is one of my favorite movies. Not because she had the same name as me, but I always hear that Carolann, get it, run from the light or whatever. But it was the actress,
creepy little voice, run, Carolann, run.
The actress Dominique Dunn was strangled by her ex after filming. Then child star Heather O'Rourke, who's Carolann, died from bowel obstruction or Crohn's. Other cast members have had heart attacks, cancer. The director, Toby Hooper, I think his name, he dismissed it, but there are so many eerie parallels that this hex just seems to keep its lore. Like, people, in the younger generations know about this movie, and they
keep it going.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of people died, like Julian Beck, who was like the evil preacher, had cancer. The one I found interesting was Will Sampson, the native shaman guy, who died of a heart lung transplant. But he was a real life medicine man, and he performed an exorcism after they finished filming. And never mind that they were using real human skeletons as props.
Is that true? Because I heard
apparently it's a thing. So imagine you're swimming in the water with, I imagine they're clean and so on. They're just, but still, there's definitely some stuff there. They said when I had heard a story way back when they started filming the very first Amityville Horror, and apparently they were on a set or a different house. Apparently they never filmed, according to the literature that was available back then. They did not film in the actual house. So they still had all kinds of things happening to them. Things were malfunctioning on the set. They were still having like experiences. Somebody said he was pushed anyway, like hurt a knee or an ankle, broke it, something. I vaguely remember it. But even back then, there was the haunted set or the cursed set, the curse of the Amityville Horror, that sort of thing. I mean, I think you do, certain types of movies. It just leaves it open. But the Poltergeist movie curse is one that really went on for quite a while. And there's a lot of stuff behind that you can't really go talk too much about, but it's pretty sad when
Yeah.
you think
Yeah.
about it. But it's not
Yeah.
the same one. I mean, I think that didn't the Twilight Zone have some kind of curse attached to it, especially after what was his last name? Vic something or other was he
Oh,
beheaded by the helicopter with
right.
the 2 children?
Oh gosh, yeah. I
Yeah.
heard
Yeah, that was a
forgot
thing as
about
well.
that.
Yeah, there was all kinds of different things,
Yeah.
based with that. Have you heard of the curse of the phone number, the Bulgarian phone number, which is 0888
No, good
No.
Lord, what is that?
It was when Joe and I did a show on the Gray Zone. I just dug really deep into different things, and this one kept coming up. So what it is a story. It's a Bulgarian phone number. First owner of this was a man named Vladimir Grashnov. He was a CEO of the issuing company at the time, which was Mobitel. He died of cancer and was rumored to have been caused. It was caused by a business rival using radioactive poison.
Oh,
So
jeez.
yeah. So the next owner, because you know how they just recycle numbers, right? So the next owner was a mafia individual, the mafia, Konstantin Dimitrov, who was killed by an assassin in the Netherlands in 2003. The third person, believed to be the last owner, was Konstantin Diashlev, who was killed in Bulgaria 2005 outside a restaurant. He was a cocaine trafficker. His
Mm.
case is actually still open. But in 2005, Mobitel suspended the number and refuses to comment on it. So anyone who dials it hears the same message: outside
What?
network coverage is what the message says. Outside network coverage. As of 2016, which was, I haven't found anything since, but I'll be honest, I've really dug too deep on it since there. But it's believed until current times, with researched information, no one else has had this number since 2005. But if you call it, apparently it says outside network coverage if you call it and you're in the area.
So how did that number get cursed? Was it
We had 3 people who had it die.
Oh,
Yeah, they were all like again, assassinated. The first guy was, logical. It was cancer, okay, but the way it was said to have been caused by radioactive poison, and the other 2, were basically gunned down or assassinated. But it's just this mystery now that survives it. So I don't know. But it's interesting that it would say when you call it outside of network, coverage. It shouldn't have anything.
no.
There shouldn't
That
be
is
anything.
creepy.
It's different.
I wouldn't want that phone number. I wouldn't want that. That
Yeah.
is creepy.
Yeah.
And would you classify that as like a cursed thing?
Yeah, I would say it would be.
Yeah, right?
But
Cursed
it's like
item?
well, or is it a thing? It's a number. It's a
Yeah,
phone number.
weird.
It's not technically anything
Thing,
tangible.
yeah.
So yeah, so that's different.
Yeah.
I don't know. Then you get into curse the curses of different places. Like I guess you could use Oak Island as an example.
Mm,
Much like the Tutankhamun thing, Oak Island.
yeah.
There was, the curse of Oak Island, which, allegedly states, of course, there's been so many seasons of this thing now with nothing tangible, but the original information was essentially the stories that come out of there over the last 200 years. It was by word of mouth, oral history, which goes back to the maybe 1790 to like mid 1850s kind of thing. And allegedly a pirate treasure was the original story. Went on to believe it could have been Knights Templar, but holy relics, things like that. But the thing is, anyone who tried to find this treasure have died up until, the Laguna brothers. But it is said that it came into play roughly 100 years ago when 6 men died attempting to find the money. And the curse states that 7 men would die before the treasure could be found. So when you start getting into all of this, and of course we know the story after seeing the series, but it's kind of like jeepers. but it's rough terrain back in the day trying to dig through this and having cave-ins and things like that. Maybe that's why. And no one has since because of technology, being able to use equipment that is going to make their
Mhm.
job a lot easier.
No, I think there could be definitely a cursed place. It doesn't seem to stop the owners of Oak Island, though. I mean, they're very successful with their show, and they're
Mhm.
always finding old relics and ancient items on there.
Lots of wood.
Lots of wood, yeah. I mean, the land could. What about cursed land? I mean, geez, right? There's a lot of that.
They have
Cursed
that.
properties. I mean,
Yes.
geez.
Well, that could be, that could be partially what this is. If you're getting
Yeah,
into old burial grounds and things of that nature,
right.
for example, by the Native American, the indigenous people, Aboriginal
Exactly.
people around the world will say, come through this land, you will be cursed, by the spirit of the ancestors. And you hear about that, like, it's a story that gets told and retold from many different parts of the world. If you do your research, you'll find tons of it, you know?
I mean, I've even heard of cursed trains.
Yes.
So right. So,
Yeah.
the thing that creeps me out, I think the most is cursed items. So like you got that creepy Dubix box.
Oh, the Dybbuk box.
Oh,
Yeah.
the Dybbuk,
Yeah.
that thing.
Yeah.
I don't even like watching it on when I watch spooky shows because it's this small wooden like cabinet, I guess, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
got this malevolent Jewish, which I guess is called the Dubik from the Holocaust.
Mhm.
And there are previous owners that have suffered gravely from opening them or owning them. They've had
Mhm.
nightmares, hives, strokes, just global misfortunes. And I don't know. I wouldn't want to touch or be in the same room with one of them things. I, I, I just
No,
would.
there's a lot of YouTube clips on there where people, claim to have them, and they end up having all of the stuff going on.
Yeah,
If you think about it, when they're putting these things together, if they're cursing the box,
exactly.
is it because of what they're trying to put in there? I don't think they're just creating it for, just for fun. I think that they create these things, um, like to trap a spirit.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
so if they're trapping a spirit, which is supposed to be from Jewish folklore, right?
Right.
So if they're putting in a dark force or a malicious spirit, I mean, they're putting different things in there to contain it. Is it curse, or is it something that would be considered a haunted object because there's a dark spirit in it? Like,
Yeah.
you know,
And then you're opening it and letting the damn thing out. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, some people are, yeah, I mean, maybe they're fine if it's initially just left alone,
well, if you look
but
at Post Malone, who's a very famous musician,
mhm,
singer, he went on Zach's show and they did this Dubix box thing, and
mhm,
he had a near miss plane crash. He had a car accident
yeah,
and a series of other misfortunes from being
mhm,
in the same room with this box. So
mhm.
I don't know. Maybe it's both a cursed item and a haunted. I mean,
I mean, it's
could be
something you
both.
just don't mess with. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's interesting because I've done investigations, and like I said, over a couple of decades, where people have brought in their members of faith. I had a priest on site a couple of times. I've had one I found super interesting was a rabbi who was just completely fascinated with the investigation because a Jewish family had brought me in, and they were a very influential family in the city that they lived in. Like, they owned probably 100 apartment buildings. I mean, everything had to be done in a certain way and kept very, very quiet. And they asked, their rabbi had asked, he goes, I would just love to participate in something like this. And I thought, amazing, because I will learn, their point of view. And that
Sure.
rabbi, he was so much fun. He was so open-minded and taught so much. He just said, we hit a certain age and then information is given. and people have no idea. Like even our people, like once you turn 50 or something, 55, it goes, then it's like a ritualistic thing, like where we give out more information that once you know it, you can't unknow it. And it has
Mm.
terrified people because there's
Oh,
so much within the history of everything. And at the time, I didn't know much about the Dybbuk box. So, because I would have asked about that in a heartbeat. But he said, like they do certain things to be able to trap, evil spirits and things
sure.
like that. This case, it was just like I don't usually do cases. I hate calling them cases, but hauntings that are human related sort of thing, because there's so many people that can do them, but a lot of people don't like to get into darker things.
Mm.
And so you just work with that. And that's all I've done literally for 2 decades. And I've worked with people all over the world from all different walks of life, different religious
Oh, yeah.
backgrounds and faiths. And so, but right there, he's telling me, that we do things, that we can get rid of things. And some of the stuff, like even when you start talking about golems and things like that, when he had talked to me about that, I thought, wow, that is fascinating when you're hearing about, the golems and the whole folklore behind that. And it's just interesting. I imagine he could have filled me in on a lot with this had I known, but they definitely know. I mean, there are people who specifically will go to a synagogue and try to meet a rabbi who can help them get rid of
Absolutely.
evil things or,
Yeah.
curses and things like that.
I mean, look
So
at haunted furniture too. Like I heard a story about somebody bought a vanity that from an antique shop, and
Mm.
it was just terribly cursed, and it was given from like mother to daughter because she
Mhm.
didn't know that it was coming from this vanity. I mean, when you've got a lot of antiques, gosh, in your world, do you use like when you see an item, are you using like your intuition or your energy to tap into it to make sure that it's not has a spirit attached to it, or like what's that like for you?
Well, usually, I mean, you don't always catch it right away. That's the thing. So I try to make sure that, you can do binding and things like that. You could do
Mm,
clearings on them. I like to just give a generic clearing anyway, just from the energy,
yeah.
past energy. But I mean, you can get energies even from people who have constructed them, like who've made them.
Yeah,
Like there's a
that's
lot
so
with that. It's
true.
not doesn't make it malevolent energy. It just means that you can pick up on residual, even
Sure.
leftover energy. I've had, I buy like old pieces that come from many different parts of the world. Some of them are, probably 2, 300, 400. Like you have had pieces in my possession going back to the late 1600s, early
Wow.
1700s. And,
Yeah.
there, so you can imagine the people that handle it, these pieces over time, there's going to definitely be some energy left over
Isn't that
or,
the stone tape theory where
yeah,
things, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And for the most part, none of it bothers me. Sometimes I like to catch that residual energy. It just, you can tap into that a little bit and you get an idea, a sense of, boy, this was really a loved piece,
Yeah.
or boy, person making this might have had a bad day or something like that, depending on the era. Because once it's changed hands so many times, the energy just changes. There's,
Dissipates. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Wayne, you seriously want to continue haunting my new purchase? Well, not necessarily. Sometimes it can be a good haunting as well. Um, Carrie says, my friend told me her ex trapped her parents in a jar. Gosh,
Oh, jeez.
I was learning to remove them. I asked permission. Her parents were peeved off that he trapped them. If that was me, I would want someone to release me over. Well, for sure. For sure. For sure. That's, again, like that's who does that? Says a lot about an individual, but no, that can be trapped in the jar. You can. I mean, if you knew what you were
Awful.
doing, you could definitely do a release on that. Um, our curse is generational. What do you think, Carol?
I definitely think they can be big time. especially when the stories are so imbued in a family's tradition and they're just passed down. Like my Irish grandmother, loved her to death, but she was notorious for doing that crap to us. She was always telling us these, tales and things that were generational. And, you grow up with that. And like, of course, I told them to my kids.
Yeah.
So whether it's a curse or just a tradition, I definitely think they could be generational.
Mm-hmm. I think so as well. I've had people approach me and say, I feel like I've had, a curse on our family. It seems to go back a long ways because they'll hear stories from their grandparents, parents, great grandparents.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I guess they're out there, and it's not something. I mean, some people don't even know. So unless you go to a medium or you get some kind of a regression done or hypnosis done, like I don't really know how you would ever really know. And meanwhile, you wonder why everything in your life is just going a certain way.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say that. Maybe it's like just an intuition. Maybe that's why people are wearing so many of these red bracelets that I'm seeing.
Mm.
And it's funny because like I could just be shopping and I'll just be glancing around and I see people with these cords just more and more and more. So maybe people are just feeling it by intuition that something is just not right,
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I think it takes whatever, if it makes you believe that it's helping you. But I mean, you would have to believe in the first place that the possibility of being cursed is a thing. You have to put merit into that. If there's a pile of people within a certain industry wearing them, I'd have to look at them and say, why do you all think that this is going to turn badly for you? The evil eye is on you. Yeah, possible. It's possible. I mean, when you factor in, that's a whole other show. But definitely when you're looking at the entertainment industry, you would have to look at that and say, there's a lot going on there, right?
I mean, what about James Dean and his Porsche, right?
Yeah.
That, there's this whole urban legend attached to that. The person I think that bought it after him broke a leg. Then some doctor died in a car wreck and some thief perished in flames. And just everybody that owned it or had anything to do with it, even parts of it that were used for other cars, were said to be cursed. So crazy stuff.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of stories like that. That's probably one of the most famous for that sort of thing, but again, how did it get there in the first place?
I wonder if his death caused it, though. Such a tragic death. I don't know. Like some kind of event can trigger, I think.
I think so as well. But then if you start getting into the ritualistic stuff that goes on behind the scenes for some of these people to maybe achieve the level of, fame that they were looking at, maybe when your time is up, it's up. That's it.
I mean, look at 9/11, right? When the towers went down, they didn't rebuild on the two spots. Instead, there's two memorials there, which I always found to be very creepy. They have the two exact squares turned into like memorial fountains, but they would never build over them again. Do they think they're cursed? Like, I don't know. Like we're still doing that. We're still participating in that whole mindset.
So is it mindset? Is it
respect? I don't know. Like,
yeah. Is it really religious conditioning, like, because many cultures and their belief systems will say, okay, like if this happens, then this is the consequence. We're all, when I say conditioning, I don't mean that disrespectfully. I mean, our parents, they learn the same thing. We come in, we're taught the same thing. We teach our children, sometimes that there's a break in all of that. But They'll switch gears. But if that's, there are cultures from around the world that have very strong belief systems, and they're
Oh
very,
yeah.
very spiritual and very, um, strong beliefs,
Yeah, I
strong
mean,
faith.
every religion has its mores and values that you but it's so funny because and I was talking about that before, the hypocrisy of it. So, they'll tell you not to practice these things, but yet they're doing it just in another
Hmm.
fashion. But I just
Hmm.
found it so interesting how, you know, culturally, even in this day and age, we're still practicing a lot of these superstitions
Hmm.
and that's why I just
Yes.
thought it
Yeah.
was odd with nine
Yeah.
11 that they wouldn't rebuild right over that
Yeah.
same spot.
But I think maybe with that, as you're looking at it like a gravesite, I think it's like trying to raise the Titanic, or some of these
Mm.
wrecks. They're grave sites as well.
We
It'd
don't
be very
stop.
hard to go in there and,
I
you
don't know.
know.
We're so, I mean, it's almost like you see a car accident on the highway and you have to stop and look, and people just
Yes.
do by nature,
Yeah.
everybody wants to peek through their fingers and look
Yes.
at these things,
Yes.
it's,
No, it's true. It's true. It's definitely human nature,
yeah.
to do that. Um, there's a place, it's called the Alloa Tower in Scotland. Ron, Scotland, maybe you know what this place is. Located in Clackmanshire, Scotland, the tower has been the subject of a curse for the last few hundred years, since the 16th century. The Earl of Mar was said to have destroyed the local abbey to take the stones to build a palace for himself. This angered the abbot, and he cast a multi-part curse of the Erkshire family. Some parts of the curse have come to pass. He stated that 3 children in the family would never see light, and 3 of the Earl's ancestors' offspring in the family were born blind.
Oh
The
my God.
Yeah. The curse also stated that the house would burn down. This occurred in 1800. It stated the house would lay in ruins until uh, a spagling grew from the roof. In 1820, a sapling, rather, all right, I can't read my own writing, a sapling was seen sprouting from the roof. And since then, the curse was said to have been lifted.
Oh,
There's also a bridge in the UK, I think. I think it's in the UK, where if you cross it going over into a castle, the name eludes me right now, but like dogs even would just jump right off this bridge to their
I've
death.
seen video that
Okay,
broke
you
my
know the one?
heart. They
Yeah,
commit suicide, the dogs.
yeah, yeah. So
That
what
is
is?
crazy.
Yeah, see, like
Oh,
there are
I was
things
so
out
upset.
there that, yeah, there are things out there that we're never really going to, we're not going to know what it is. Haunted objects or cursed objects. Yeah, that just seems to be a thing that goes on. The Hope Diamond's the most famous, obviously.
Yeah,
King
yeah.
Common, so you could get into things like, again, talismans, which like the red bracelet. And Wayne makes a good point. Okay, so who benefits from the red, making and selling the red bracelets?
Right, right.
Does it have to be a specific one, or can people just put a little red twine around there, like a
Yeah.
symbol, maybe a symbol, just symbolize that? But I mean, talismans and amulets pretty much work the same. Lucky Charms, not for
What
cereal.
about mirrors? You did a show on mirrors recently.
Yeah.
There's a mirror called the Myrtle's Plantation mirror
Yeah.
that trapped spirits of a poisoned owner,
Yeah.
and that she put like a hex on that, and
Yeah.
now this mirror reflects ghostly faces. It induces sickness.
Hmm.
I mean, it's crazy. This mirrors are big time, right? Cursed or
Yeah. Oh boy, that
medicine.
that show on mirrors could have went on for
Oh, it was
another
so
hour
good.
or two easily.
Yeah.
There's definitely something to mirrors that, they can trap energy very easily. This is an ancient belief as well. It's just anything that I've read. It's something that a lot of ancient cultures have believed in. That cover the mirrors if somebody dies, or again, don't face them together, or, use them for scrying. They've been used for divination for like centuries at least, if not, thousands of years, with oracles, just using like obsidian glass, like black shiny obsidian. Like this is pretty much where the whole object of the modern day black mirror comes from. Like, so this is not new. It's not new stuff. I guess it goes with again, ancient beliefs. Carrie said, I thought they were for the Kabbalah connected stuff.
Oh, the red bracelets.
Yeah.
I mean, they might have originated from there, and then popular culture now, just like I said, every
protection.
Yeah.
That's all out there, to be found for sure.
Yeah.
So curse removal. Because we're coming down to the last 15 minutes. Curse removal.
That went fast.
It does. We had like 5 minutes of tech issues, but but it's believed that an individual target, which is cursed due to ownership of a cursed item, can apparently rid themselves of it by simply removing the item from their, as they call it, their loves from having the item. However, the curse will remain on the item. So the next person who gets it may not be so lucky. So if the person is targeted by a third party, then there are many ways to rid themselves of it. One is by reversing it. That's, it's like energy removal, reversal, and sending it back to the sender. Multiple ways of doing this, of course. And again, just to save a lot of this article, because I'm reading an article, one may opt for the removal called a curse breaking. Apparently, this only works if the caster has applied conditions to the curse itself. So that's interesting. So again, it can be found out through divination, scrying, tarot. You can definitely find it. You can always get this, trap the curse, apparently. So essentially it means that you are redirecting the curse into an object and burying it. So there are different processes for this as well. So curse removal is a bit more ritualistic. And there are a lot of people out there apparently who have done a lot of different things to achieve this and have done it. There are prayers. Always recommended to reach out. I always say it's recommended to reach out to somebody who's more versed and knowledgeable on the topic. But yeah, there's a lot of articles on this stuff. Clearly, I mean, you can go out and find it. So, I am not overly versed in all of this. I can definitely reverse energy, no problem. But, working specifically on curses is not, I get a lot of requests for it.
Oh, do you?
Yep. It's amazing how many people out there think, I'm cursed.
Yeah.
And it's like a lot of times you're not necessarily cursed. You're just going through a string of bad luck that happens. Unfortunately, I met somebody just a couple of weeks ago. Somebody I was having a conversation with, and she goes, "Can you try to remove this curse from my family? We're all sick. We're all, got bad luck going on. Certain family members." It's like, well, not necessarily bad luck. Some family members are just really difficult, Yeah. So, So I mean, it just becomes perspective, or, but if you believe it, I think you can manifest it. But that's like anything. It's not just in the world of curses and hexes.
Sure.
You can, the power, like, we are powerful beings.
Oh, God.
And we can manifest a lot of things. And there's a lot of, misinformation being floated around out there. And a lot of it's for profit. And, so it's just like they say, there's certain industries out there that they're not there to help you. They're there to keep the money machine going. That's probably all I could say on that one. She goes, here we use the red bracelets. The knots are the key, as well as the all-seeing eye, the all-seeing hand, and all of them are for protection. Yeah. I've got some of both, actually. I am wearing one right now.
Yeah.
If you can see, there's my little all-seeing hand. See? So with my obsidian. So I do truly, plus I really love the bracelet. So, but I came back, I'm telling you, I came back from Romania with probably 15 of those darn bracelets. I just pass them around. They're great for souvenirs, and all with a good intention as well. Um, she said, "Yeah, we usually put the red bracelet on her baby's protection from the evil eye."
Absolutely. Yeah.
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 Yes. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. I
So
told you my culture did that with the horns. I
yes.
still have bracelets with horns and things. And,
Yeah.
and sometimes like it's funny because you could put one on and have a bad day and then you go, it's that damn bracelet. I'm taking it off. You kind of hex yourself. You really do.
Yes. Well, you can. It's
Yeah.
like I
You
think a
can.
lot of it is really just I think a lot of it is awareness, and feeding into things I think can become a really bad idea, And
Yeah.
unfortunately, when you live in a world of constant media, you're seeing a lot of
Exactly.
this or verbally a lot of this.
Yeah.
It's easy to instill fear into people. We come from all walks of life. We all have different backgrounds. We all have different belief
Right.
systems, different education for the most part, different faiths, and we're all trying to exist in one place. And a
Yeah.
lot of that clashes, like I've worked with families again where, you know, the the wife has a certain background with her faith, and the husband has a different background. And
Mhm.
somewhere along the line, we had to find a medium, like
Mm.
for real, but no, look, like a happy center
Yeah.
point to focus on, because it's important when you're dealing with a mindset. You want to be able to make a connection with both,
Absolutely.
you know.
Yeah.
So,
Well, one of the things the media did that I didn't like with Charlie's passing is they're blasting this article about these Etsy witches that
mhm,
put a curse on
right.
Charlie.
Mm,
And they're making it like they're responsible, for his passing. And I don't know. You know how many times these witches have done things like that in the past and they never came to fruition? And then the one time, I
mm,
guess because the media propagates that
yeah.
information too. So I don't know.
It does. You have to be so very careful. I mean, you have the power of intention on a mass scale.
Exactly.
We've seen what it does with tulpas and such. It's
Exactly.
easy to manifest energy, but I really think that people who have very strong faiths and such are not going to, they're going to have an energy that's going to be so easy
Right.
to work with that,
And I love
to
Heidi's comment
reach
too.
that. Yes.
That she
Go ahead.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Go
great.
ahead. Yeah. Is it bad that I refuse to believe in curses against me? My soul refuses to put energy into believing it. Yeah, manifestation for sure. Especially from someone online wanting money to remove it. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's a real big
Perfect.
one. That's
Yep.
a real big one, you know.
Yeah.
But I think that, in the end, it was a fun topic to talk about,
Oh,
being
absolutely.
this time of year when you're getting into so many different areas of,
Yeah.
the obscure sort of, so to speak. But
Yeah.
curses, yes, people, places, items, events,
How about step on a crack, break your mother's back? I mean, we've had these since we were kids, right? Do you know how
yes.
many times I wouldn't step on a crack because I thought I was going to break my mother's back as a child? So like,
Yeah,
you
so is
know,
that a curse, or does that fall under superstitions? And we'll have to do a show just on superstitions and belief
that would
systems,
be
because
awesome.
it would be a lot of fun, because
Yeah.
there's so many. There's
There's
so
tons.
there's so many, you know.
Tons.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it was great, and I am so glad that you were able to join me, and uh,
Oh,
we could cover this and have some fun with it. And you guys in chat are always awesome, of course.
yes.
Um, so next week on Beyond the Outer Realm, Luke Eastwood returns, and we're going to be talking about his book just in time for Halloween, Samhain, The Roots of Halloween,
It's
which
great.
it's going to be awesome. Tomorrow night on the Outer Realm, my friend Brian Baker from Superstitious Times is going to talk about his book called Eerie Whispers, Exploring Canada's Reluctant Relationship with Its Ghostly Lore. That is going to be a lot of fun. Thursday, brand new for the Outer Realm. And I have to say, I love this man. And he's also really dear friends with Ron Moorhead who is also somebody I really admire and respect. So Daryl Denton, the Tennessee Bigfoot man, joins the show discussing his research and experiences with Bigfoot and Dogman within Land Between the Lakes, which is an area with a history of very aggressive encounters with both cryptids. So I know I've had so many requests for Land Between the Lakes, Dogman, Bigfoot, Land Between the Lakes. Well, this is Daryl's backyard. So this is where we're going with it.
Gotta watch that. Gotta watch that.
Oh my God, it's going to be great. And, hopefully working on some behind the scenes stuff with that too. So that might be really awesome. But I know me, know a lot of people, a lot of great opportunities, and going to run with that. So anyway, everyone, thank you all. Thanks for spending, some time with us this afternoon and evening. If you're on the other side of the world, Ron, all the way from Scotland, thank you for joining us. Polly, thank you for joining us. All of you, thank you for joining us. And we'll see you tomorrow night on the Outer Realm.
Thank you all. Thank you, Michelle.